So for Earth Day this year, a friend of mine, Aaron, challenged me to a challenge called the Crush Plastic Challenge. And the idea of Crush Plastic is to help bring awareness to just how much single-use plastic we all use, and then to see for Earth Day this year, can we challenge ourselves to do just a little bit better, which to me is what Earth Day is all about. We try to be responsible all year long, every day, but of course we could always be better. So Earth Day is a great opportunity to challenge ourselves to just change at least one little thing going forward that we're going to do better. So to take on the challenge that my buddy Aaron gave to me, I just basically saved up those single-use plastic items for about a week that I was using, so I could at least just start by knowing how much am I responsible for single-use plastic that's going to go, hopefully be recycled, and some of it maybe to landfill. So that was step one. And if any of you watching this haven't done that before and you feel like, I already recycle or I'm already pretty careful, that might be the first challenge, is just try it for 1 week. Grab yourself a grocery bag or something and just capture all of those single-use items and see how much it adds up throughout the week. That was actually pretty illuminating to me. We recycle aggressively, I thought, but then after 1 week of saving up, every little time I cheated and went to Wendy's for dinner, or I had what I thought was a healthy organic snack, it added up to a lot. So before I show you what I came up with in my kind of stash of single-use plastic and kind of bear that all here, I wanted to also talk about, most of the plastic that we use hopefully has the 3 arrows logo on the back of it. And so a lot of you may be thinking, okay, well, it's single-use plastic and, that's wasteful, but it gets recycled. Well, it turns out not everything with that little logo on the back is necessarily recyclable. In fact, this logo here that so many of us are familiar with, you'll see on the back of plastic drink cups or plastic to-go containers. It's not even really the recycling logo. Ready for something shocking? This little logo with the number in the middle is actually the Resin identification code, which of course nobody remembers that. What it did is the plastic industry borrowed the actual, true original recycling logo here, and then to be able to track what kind of plastic was a particular item made out of, so that they could figure out for a facility that was recycling plastic, plastics made out of PET, which is one type of plastic resin, can't be recycled the same way that high density polypropylene can be recycled. They're both recyclable, but different processes. And so they used these numbers so that they at the recycling center could know which process to use for various things. So it's good because most things with the arrow are theoretically recyclable, and that's why I decided to make this video, was just kind of helping with what's theoretically versus actually recyclable. So just as one example, my little Wendy's cup, I'm looking on the lid here, the lid is number 1 plastic with the 3 arrows logo, so that's theoretically recyclable. And in fact, entities in Johnson County where I live do recycle number 1 plastic, so that's great. If I look on the bottom of the cup, it's actually a different plastic. It's number 5. Fortunately, number 5 plastic is also recyclable in Johnson County, so this cup, but not the straw, is recyclable. So what I need to do to be responsible is make sure that this is empty. I don't want to have any liquid in this because it could contaminate other things in my commingled recycling bin. If I spill, for example, I think this was lemonade on my printer paper that I might have had in my recycle bin, it makes it really hard for the machinery to necessarily separate that wet now printer paper from other things in my recycle bin. So make sure that your cups and other containers are totally empty, or if they have a lid, just screw the lid on tight. They actually want you to, if it's a bottle, which I don't have any of, but if it's a bottle with a lid, keep the lid on when you throw it in your recycle bin. And in my case, because the straw is not necessarily recyclable, I'll have to unfortunately discard that before I toss this in the recycling bin. So probably a lot of you watching this are like, well, no kidding, I recycle my plastic to-go cups too. Okay, so this one is maybe a little bit less obvious. I love Fig Newtons so much. When I looked on the back of this packaging, I didn't find a 3 arrows logo anywhere, but I know from Oreos, a slightly less healthy food, that if you pull the tray out, a lot of times the tray, even though the outer film isn't recyclable, the inner tray will be. So let's see if that's true here. I haven't looked ahead of time. And in fact, this is a number 6 plastic, so that is theoretically recyclable. Now, the gotcha here is that depending on what resource you read for Johnson County, numbers 1 through 7 plastic are recyclable. Some other resources say number 1 through 7, except for number 6. I don't know why that is. I suspect if I put this in my commingled recycling canister, I'll be okay, that the facilities will, they read these numbers before deciding what batch it goes into. So anyway, that's a trick. Maybe next time you finish off a box of Oreos or Fig Newtons, pull out that plastic in the middle, which really is the heavier part of that packaging anyway, and oftentimes it's recyclable even if the exterior was not. Okay, so last thing, styrofoam. A lot of styrofoam these days. I just got a new standing height desk for my home office here, and it came, packaged for safety, I guess, in a bunch of styrofoam. This styrofoam does have a number 6 3 arrows logo, which means, again, theoretically recyclable. However, in Johnson County, styrofoam is not generally accepted in commingled recycling, even though the resin that it's made out of is recyclable. It's not, probably not economically sound, I guess, or sustainable to recycle styrofoam, or it may require different equipment to prep it for recycling. I'm actually not sure, but just keep that in mind, that the whole point of this video is to look aggressively for the 3 arrows logo, but to realize just because it's there doesn't automatically mean that it's going to be recycled. So that's okay. Don't get discouraged by that. You've just sometimes got to get motivated when you find out things that are frustrating like that, and think back to, in my case, grade school, and remember your 3 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle. We're all the way in 2021, but that same advice that we all learned back in the 80s is still totally valid. So in my case, I've started going to Sprouts grocery store more often than I used to. I've always loved Sprouts. We just don't live very close to one. But the reason I started going back is they, even during the pandemic, they still allow me to bring in my canvas grocery bags so that I'm not using plastic for my produce or for my groceries when I check out. And I have a bunch of these canvas bags that I've accumulated over the years, and I love using them. It's one of the easiest ways you can reduce plastic. But a lot of grocery stores during the pandemic didn't want to handle somebody else's canvas bags, which I could understand. But anyway, so Sprouts does though, so that's nice. So that'll help me to reduce not only grocery bags, but also containers like this, because I can buy more things in bulk when I'm at Sprouts or Whole Foods or a local bulk goods store. So that's my resolution, or at least one of them, for this Earth Day. The other is, we've been trying intentionally to eat out maybe a little bit more often than we normally would have pre-pandemic. Normally we try to eat a little bit healthier and also save money, and going out isn't necessarily good for those two things. But then during the pandemic, a lot of restaurants were losing tons of business that they depended on, and a lot of people are in the restaurant industry. So we try to go out a little more often, tip a little bit more than we used to, but that means that we come home with single-use plastic clamshells like this that can be recycled, but make sure that you rinse them out at least before you put them in your bin. If they have food, very much food residue in them, or certainly any, solid bits of food, they may be rejected at the recycling center because they may contaminate that batch. So that's another thing that you can be more cognizant of as you're recycling. Something I'm going to try to do a little bit differently. I haven't ordered them yet, but here is let's see if I can do this the right way. I was searching for, are there effectively just takeout containers, but takeout containers that are maybe just a little bit more durable than what the restaurants hand out, so that could I maybe just bring my own to-go containers with me and do that myself, and save plastic, because once I'm done with them at home, I can put them through the dishwasher and they're not going to, warp or whatever, and I can take them with me the next time I go to a restaurant. So I think I'm going to give this a try. This is a product that I found that looks pretty neat. This one I also personally like because it's made in the USA, and we care about jobs and people who make their livelihoods in this country. But also I kind of like these honestly for the aesthetic of them. I was, very honestly, I was gonna feel weird a little bit if I carried in my whole tote of Tupperware from my kitchen into the restaurant and got maybe people looking at me, which is silly. I shouldn't care, but I do. So fine, there's this cool product that looks just basically like a normal to-go container, but it's more durable, so I can use it over and over again. So I think I might order myself a set of these and see how that goes. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you guys as comments on this video or on our Facebook page, Food Cycle KC. What are you thinking about this Earth Week or this Earth Day? What are you contemplating maybe changing, or have you done something like I did with my 1 week Save My Plastic experiment to kind of gauge where you're at right now in your journey of becoming more sustainable? And none of us are perfect, and that's okay. We're just always trying to get better. So with that, I hope that maybe your gears are turning a little bit and that you're willing to share. And at any rate, I wish you all well, and I hope that you stay well. Have a happy Earth Day. Thanks.